Hello, 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 hello. So, this recording will be about how to um, format and use Microsoft Word. So a lot of you do not know how to use Microsoft Word, and um, this is probably the most useful writing tool that you have other than Google Docs. So, one thing I will note is if you know you have a problem writing, Word does have a dictate button. And I will show you this here. So, dictate English. So, if you use that button, it will translate and say everything that you're trying to say and put it on your paper, period. So, if you know you are struggling to write it down, but you know you can say it out loud, and then take what you have here and edit it. So it may not be perfect based on how you talk or how fast you talk, but if you use it more and more, it'll probably get better, if that makes sense. Get rid of that. So one thing I noticed is a lot of students don't know how to label their essays. So the first thing you want to do is put your name, and I'm going to go with Johnson. Teacher's name. Yes, I changed my last name. The class. So depending on the class, it'll be whatever class number you have on your syllabus. And the date that it's due. Not the date that you type it, but the date that it's due. So I have students with papers due tomorrow, so I'll put 30 September 2019. Alright. And then enter, and then I will center this with my title, which would be how to format an essay. Alright. So then the next thing you want to do, and usually you can do this at the end when you've typed everything, is I do Control A on my keyboard, and I think for Mac it's Command A. Make everything 12-point font and Times New Roman, and also double space. You double space the essay, and I usually do Control 2. It'll give you all of this space here, and there's a way to fix that. You go to paragraph settings and click don't add extra space between paragraphs of the same style. You can set this as your default on all documents, which is what I have. Yes. But make sure you go in and you actually have to press OK for that to change. Perfect. And then you put your page number and header in. Go in to insert. The best way to do this is go to page number, not header or footer. The page number, top of page, and go to, it's usually option number 3, and then put your last name in front of it. Make sure this matches the rest of the essay going up-point font, Times New Roman. This is too high or too low, make sure it has a half an inch from the top and half an inch from the bottom. If this isn't right, it'll either be too high up or too high down or too low down, and instead of being right here where you need to be. Then you close it. Enter, bring it back over to the left margin. So notice this is left margin. Do not align your essay in the middle or make it justified unless your teacher wants it fully justified. Just align it to the left, always to the left with 1 inch margin. So this gray is 1 inch. If you don't see that on your computer, you can always go to View and Ruler. It's right there under the View tab. Then you start typing. So first thing you want to do is always indent, pressing the tab button. Then so there are other tools in here that are useful, such as if you copy and paste something from like a citation, if you're in Comp 1 or Composition 2 and you have to do a lot of citations, this clears the formatting so that you can format it correctly. This where you do your sizes. This makes it bigger, this makes it smaller. Justified over here. Hanging indent if you're doing a citation. Alright, so you have the last name, the name of the article, the journal, number, volume number, year, and thing. To do a hanging indent, you can just highlight it and move it over a half. You want to make sure you're touching this very top of this one here, so that this is the only one moving. If you touch this down here, it moves the entire block. So just the top triangle, the triangle on top of that block. And move it over a half an inch, and you have a hanging indent. So under the insert, you can insert table, shapes, icons, you can bookmark things. There are all these other options up here, including design, layout, your indent spacing. I wouldn't touch this over here. I would just press tab to indent on your papers. References, you need to insert endnote, citation, researcher. This is all useful for Comp 2. And another thing that could be useful, I'm using an old essay of mine from grad school. As you can see, it's a 4-year-old essay. Here's an old way of citation. This is for a article review. And I wanted to show you how to use the find and replace function. So say you have a lot of you or I or something in your essay that your teacher wants you to remove. So if you have you, I don't have you in my essay. But I know this because I put you in the navigation and it's going to find every instance of it and remove it. So for instance, if I have that, see, it pops up every place that I have that. And I use that word a lot. And I could remove it, like he notes. I could say how, or he notes this happens. It's my own writing flaw. But I can find those and remove those and replace those. So first there's the find button right here. And then there's the replace button. So you can do find and replace. So it'll find the word that and it'll replace it with something else. So if I wanted to say find Webster and replace it with he, so it'll find it and I can replace it, or I could either replace one of them or I could replace all of them, depending on what I'm trying to do in my essay. This is something that is useful for if you have a lot of the same errors and you're trying to find them rather quickly without having to meticulously go through the text yourself and worry about missing something. So this will find them for you and even find some that are similar, so that you can see each instance of it and see what needs to be changed and what doesn't. So if you have comma errors, and you want to make sure if you need a comma before and or a comma after and, you can do find and in your essay, and I have 28 cases, and you'll see, okay, here, illuminates the development within genre, both dramatic techniques and the underlying tragedies. Okay, I don't need to change this one because this is within a quote, and so I can move on to my next one. Those are the most helpful parts. Now, some teachers may ask you to highlight your essay when you've made changes. And the simplest way to do that is to go to this highlight button, and you can simply just highlight from there. So this page, the home, insert, and review tabs are probably the most useful for anything you could want to do in a composition course. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you.